Hello, guys. I recently saw the Joker movie, and right now I have lent it to my sister, but it's a really good movie, and I'm gonna kind of go in depth of what happens. So basically, we see a comedian known as Arthur Fleck, um, who is at a therapist and has him show her what he's written in his journal. And upon inspection, like, there's a lot of jokes in there, but usually most jokes that are miss and pass kind of jokes. And I'm gonna elaborate of what kind of happens is we learn that he has like a medical condition which makes him laugh every time he's a certain amount of time, and we learn that it affects like when he's supposed to be like really upset that he laughs instead of it. So like he works at this clown club, and he's like doing tricks for like a store that's going out of business. It was probably a really terrible store if it was going out of business when a couple of kids jump him and take his sign, right? So he chases the um thugs down an alley, and they not only break his sign after he chases after him, he also nearly gets hit by a vehicle, a moving vehicle. And when he goes down the alley, the kids hit him with his own sign, and then they start beating him up over it. So just to recap, he spins a sign to a store that's going out of business. He chases after the kids, and he literally gets beaten up by them. And it's just not just like two kids; it's like a whole group of them, like a bunch of thugs that like beat him up, and that'd be bad enough. And that's like in the first 20 minutes. And we learn later on, the sign was the sign, because it was destroyed, like it's going out Arthur's paycheck. So in addition to getting like beaten up and having his sign stolen, he has to also additionally pay for the sign, which is really disheartening, and it really shows. Um, but later on, there's like these two thuggish, like kind of clown characters. I don't remember their name. One's like really tall and fat. The other one's like really small and like skinny. But the taller one like gives Arthur like a gun, and what ends up happening later on is Arthur actually has to use the gun because he's on like this bus, because his gig, he went to a children's hospital, and this is one of the darker comedic moments of the movie. It's like he has the gun on him, and then he drops the gun out of his outfit, and it's in like a giant children's hospital. Sorry, I'm still pasting together the movie, but yeah, he drops the gun, and it doesn't go over very well, and he instantly gets thrown out of the hospital and fired on the spot. And just when it couldn't get worse, he goes on this metro subway, and he knows these three guys harassing this one girl, and like the girl completely rejects the guys' advances, and it's pretty funny for the clown. I mean Arthur, and Arthur's like laughing a lot, like uncontrollably. But unlike the previous time, he wasn't able to like pull out a card to explain his medical disorder away. So they start beating on him and like attacking him viciously. And on his last breath, he pulls out a gun and starts shooting at him. And I was surprised at first when the first shot went off, and I was really satisfied with that, seeing them getting shot. And a lot of people in the universe like don't condone like the thugs getting shot, but I think it was completely justified and deserving, because they were like relentlessly beating Arthur up, and they probably would have killed him honestly at that point. So I'm actually really glad that Arthur shot him, and he's like really happy at that point. Like he goes in this bathroom stall like after he runs away because he killed three like thugs, and not the same thugs from earlier. Oh no, like, but like a different three thugs. He goes in the bathroom and is like really happy about it. And the next thing I remember is like he meets this girl when going on this elevator, and she's really weird, and there's a brief sequence with her, and ultimately it turns out that the relationship between her and the Joker was completely faked, and it shows that throughout the movie he's been hallucinating. The people didn't laugh at his jokes. He didn't have a girlfriend at the time. He just randomly illusioned her and visited her apartments at the building he's staying at, and she just kind of asks him to leave. And then there's like another moment with his mother, and his mother talks about like how Bruce Wayne is such an important and influential man, and Joker naturally thinks that like Thomas Wayne might actually be his father, so he goes to the Wayne Manor, and there's like young Bruce there, and like Arthur being as nice as possible, and notices that he might have an actual stepbrother, and then he tries talking to Bruce, and then like one of Thomas Wayne's butlers come out and tell him to stay away from him, and then like Joker grabs him, pins him against the fence, and like threatens him and like to leave him and Bruce alone, and like it's like really drawn out, and then like that the police might come, so Arthur has to leave. Arthur leaves the place and goes to that comedy club. I'm kind of all over the place because there's so much in the movie that happens that I only seen it once, and it was really good. And I would have watched it again, but I lent it to my sister, and yeah, but it's a good movie. So anyway, I'm going off topic. So anyway, the real part that happens is, well, one of the biggest parts is like the Joker decides to go to like he goes to like, first off, he goes visit Thomas Wayne. He sneaks into Thomas Wayne's mansion, and he tries to talk to Thomas Wayne. He sees him in the bathroom. Thomas Wayne tells Arthur that his mother's crazy, and then punches him after a brief encounter with him, and tells him to leave his son alone. And that was pretty ecstatic. And later on, Arthur like goes to the asylum to see like his documents and history, and he learns that after he takes it from the guard that like not only did his mother like have boyfriends, but they're like physically abusive boyfriends, and that they probably mentally scarred him, and he goes insane and laughs instead of cries. But instead of like crying because he has a medical disorder, he's just laughing really bitterly, and goes insane at that point. He visits his mother, who might have had a stroke, and he snuffs her out after learning of the information. And one of his famous lines is, "I always thought my life was a tragedy, but then I realized that it's a comedy," which has become one of the greatest phrases in cinema history. And after he kills his mother, like, there was of course deleted scenes from the movie. Like, there was a deleted scene where there would have been like a funeral, and the Joker would have been very noticeably strange at the funeral. Like, he would have been really happy that his mother was dead, and the FBI like guys would have watched from afar. Yeah, let me talk about the FBI guys real quick. So what happens with them is they're suspicious that Arthur, I keep saying Joker, but Arthur was responsible for those three murders of those three dudes. So the two he's like dancing on a staircase. This is where like the big moment happens, is like Arthur's happy that his mother's dead, so he decides to dance on a staircase, and at this point he has like a red suit on, and he has like brand new face paint on, and his hair is like green, so he can so he can start to see like some of his true persona starting to leak out. But the two guards say, "I want a word with you," and then like that's when Arthur Fleck begins to run to a subway station. Long story short, um, there's a brawl that goes out, and the two security guards end up getting jumped, and we later learn that they're in critical condition. Oh man, so much stuff happens in this movie. Alright, I'm gonna start getting to the end. I'm gonna start getting to the end now. So, I'm just gonna rate it right now. If you haven't seen the movie, I'd recommend it. I'd say it's a 9 out of 10. The story drags on a little bit, but there are some genuinely good moments. And I've only seen it once, but right now I think it's a pretty good movie. I think it's a bit over like seen and just too appreciated, but you know what, never mind. I think I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. It's not a perfect movie, but I definitely see why I got a lot of praise, but I just wish people wouldn't blow this movie out of proportion. It's a good enough movie, but it's not like a gigantic, like massive, like perfection of a movie. Like, it was just a good movie. It was a very good movie, but I wouldn't say it was perfect. It does have a very good message at the end, but seriously, if you don't want to get the movie spoiled for you anymore, I'd recommend you just watch something else. I'd recommend you watch this movie already, but alright, I'm going to talk about like the ending a little bit. So, the two thugs from earlier, one of them's Greg, but the other guy, I don't know his name, but they go visit Arthur, right? And the taller guy is like, he kind of wants the Arthur to stand up for him because it was his gun found similar to his mom, and he doesn't want to get like framed for the murders of those three people. But like Arthur really doesn't like this guy, so because he made fun of Greg earlier, and he was just outright kind of shitty with him earlier, and Greg. So he grabs like a scissor and like stabs him in the throat, right? And then he stabs him in the head, and then he throws his head against the wall and starts like destroying it, like smashing it a lot until there's like blood on the wall. And like Greg's horrified about this whole like outcome, and this is one of the, believe it or not, this is one of the more comedic moments because Arthur doesn't hurt Greg because he actually liked Greg, of course. So what ends up happening is Arthur allows Greg to leave, but like Arthur's like, don't look, and then Greg just kind of steps over like his former friend's like kind of corpse-ish, and like the locks are like way above his height, so he has to ask Arthur to unlock the door. And that is one of the more comedic moments because Arthur like has to go over to the door, and he unlocks them, and then he's about to open the door, and then he closes it, and he's like, Greg, you're one of the only people who are nice to me. And then he like kisses Greg on the head, and then opens the door for him, and that's all we see of Greg. And then like he tells Greg though, before all that, he's going on a talk show. Yeah, that's where the big like moment happens. Like this is something that's like looked upon in like film history probably as one of the best scenes of the decade. But Joker goes on this talk show. He originally planned he planned to go on the talk show, talk about like how awful people were and what he had to go through, and then he would have shot himself on live TV, but he had other plans in mind because either while reading his book and looking through like the journal, he either saw, there's two speculations of what caused that thing to unravel. Like either that he read that in his book, like, I hope my death makes more sense than my life. And there was also another moment where Murphy was trying to defend those three thugs, saying like, those three young men, even though like they were really awful and they have no idea about them. And the moment that like the Joker kind of goes insane is like when he's explaining it away, and then he's like, Everyone is so awful these days. It's enough to make anyone crazy. And after what you've seen him go through, you can't help but agree with him. And then he goes on to say, "You're awful, Murray." And then Murphy's like, "How am I awful?" And then the Joker's like, "Playing my video, inviting me on the show. You just wanted to make fun of me." And then like, I forget what happens exactly after that, but Murphy explains like, "Look at what you did to get here, pal. Your stunts caused this. There are two officers in critical condition. There's riots, and you're laughing." And then Joker's like, "I know. How about another joke, Murray?" And then Murray's trying to like say, "No, we had enough of your jokes. Security." And then Arthur's like, "What do you get when you cross a mentally ill loner with a society that abandons him and treats him like trash?" And then like Murray's like something like, "I don't understand." He's like, and then Arthur's like, "I'll tell you what you get. You get what you freaking deserve." And he pulls out like his gun and blows like Murray's head open, and it's just so like, I heard that it was originally going to be even more brutal. Like, I saw the animation, and I think he might have actually shot the audience or like shot the other people on stage, because he just shot Murray in the version I watched. And he's like, "Good night. And remember, and then that's when the camera cuts off." And I thought that would have initially been the end of the movie, because then it backs away from like all these like footage things, and nope, that's not the end of the movie. Okay, this is the real last part here. So, of course after that, Joker's like in a police car, and he's like really proud of what he's created. And then like one of the Joker's, there's like riots in the city, and like one of the Joker's followers hits the cop car, allowing the Joker to escape. He's unconscious. Though his followers put him on top of the cop car. He's on top of the cop car, but then he like takes some of the blood off his face and then kind of smears it like on the side of his cheeks to like give him that iconic face disguise, and that's when he like becomes the Joker. And then we like see someone who looks like the Joker's followers follow Thomas and Martha Wayne in like an alley, and like we obviously know who he is, but he follows them in the alley, and then he says, "Hey, Mr. Wayne, you get what you freaking deserve." And then Thomas Wayne's like, "Wait, pal," and then he gets shot right in the chest then and there. Like Bruce, he has no emotion, just like the classic version. And then the guy who shoots like Thomas Wayne, he like grabs Martha Wayne's like pearl necklace and then shoots her in the head, and like some of the blood like gets on Bruce's face, and then he rips the pearl necklace, just reminiscent of the original version. And I think this is the actual best executed version of the Joker. I mean, of like Thomas and Martha Wayne's death, as it's the most realistic. Like simple mugging, I don't think is like realistic enough, but like someone who is actually a follower of the Joker's, I could see them pulling this off. So yeah, props to them. They have the best version of Thomas and Martha Wayne's death. And then like we cut to like Joker laughing in an asylum about like Bruce's parents' deaths. Now there's like a ton of assumptions about like when this ending takes place and when and where it takes place, but we see like it's in a much more polished asylum. Like instead of like tan walls, like brownish walls and like green floors, we actually see it's much nicer. Like it's white walls and white tiles, or both of the sort. And yeah, that's basically the end of the movie right there. And Joker, the lady asks, "What's so funny?" And then the Joker's like, "You wouldn't get it." The very last thing that happens is Frank Sinatra's "That's Life" plays, and like we see Joker like briefly singing along to the tune. So "You wouldn't get it" isn't the last line technically, but like Joker like ambiguously singing like part of the That's Life song, like bits and pieces of it, and then like, smoking, and then when we see it cut right to Joker like walking down like this hallway, but then there's like bloody footprints suggesting that maybe he killed the receptionist there, and he's like trying to escape the asylum. And he does a little dance at the end of the hallway, and then he turns right. But then there's like one the therapist's security guards that chase after him, and then he runs down the left hallway, and then the therapist follows him, and then he runs down the right hallway again, and the receptionist follows him again, and that is like the real end of the movie. I didn't check out the special features, but that was it. That was the end of the Joker, and I thought it was a pretty good movie. I think it's a bit overblown how people treat it. Like, it's a good movie for its time, but I know that there's probably going to be an even better movie. So, yeah, that was the Joker, and I really think you should check out this movie if you haven't already. It's not on Netflix from what I've seen, but I've seen it, and it's a very good movie. Oh, there was another movie by Joaquin Phoenix that I have seen before the Joker, and I didn't even realize it. It was Her, and it was about this artificial AI this guy falls in love with. I don't want to say too much about it, but that's actually on Netflix from what I've seen. So if you ever have any extra time, I'd recommend you go and watch Her on Netflix. That's Her, Her. That's how it's spelled. And it also features Joaquin Phoenix. And yep, I'd really recommend that movie too. Of course, I'd recommend if you get the Joker. I normally go for the standard edition, but you might want to get the Blu-ray as well if you can, because the cover art on the Blu-ray, I mean, they're both really good cover art, but I don't know, I think the Blu-ray might just be a little bit better. I haven't seen the Blu-ray, I just saw the standard edition, so I don't know which is better, but maybe check out the Blu-ray if you get the chance. Yeah, it's a really good movie. I think, I don't know, maybe it could have been a little longer, but I think I'm pretty satisfied for what we got out of it. But yeah, that was Joker by Joaquin Phoenix reviewed. Please have a nice day.